We are live. 3 minutes to showtime.
Alright, hey guys.
Say hello in the
Good
comments.
evening.
Good evening, good
Say
evening.
hello in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from. If you wanna share a bit of how you are, feel free to tell us and just make sure it's PG-13.
Correct. Well, ano naman tayo? Wala pa tayo dun sa show mismo. So, tag a wild friend. The unofficial question of the night. Tag a wild
Tag a wild friend.
Tag a
Yeah,
wild.
but siguro as early as now, let's already prompt them for those early watching how they can win the tripod. Alam naman natin yung iba, they're here because they want to win that coveted tripod.
Lalo na ako.
Diba?
Ako gusto ko rin magpanalunan.
Hindi ka kasali.
yung tripod na
Hindi
yun.
ka kasali.
Sinasabi ko lang, gusto ko rin mapanalunan yung tripod na yun. Ayan. Sige, go, Nico.
Yeah, so our mechanics to win the tripod is you got to share this stream and write the caption, sharing this because the BENRO RHINO tripod is wild and I want to win it. O diba, napaka obvious na obvious.
Correct.
And comment on the stream, of course, hashtag WTFWild. And of course, make sure that you follow and like the Weekly Tech Fuzz page, follow and like the BENRO Philippines page, and follow and like the Tamron Philippines page because
Grabe
they
naman
are
yun.
making this live stream and of course the raffle possible. So,
Correct.
yun.
Ayan.
And
Sige, may 2 minutes pa tayo. Go lang.
yeah, let's remind everyone that to be able to win the tripod, you have to be watching at the time of the raffle draw, which is somewhere along the end of the stream. So make sure that you are watching live. So dapat dun sa screen nyo is a red live button. And make sure you're updated, you're not delayed dun sa pinapanood nyo. So that when we announce and when we call your name, you can comment and show us that you are watching.
Ito na yung number one live. Number one wild,
Yeah.
sorry. Jtana, hashtag WTFWild. Simulan mo na. Thank you, sinimulan mo na. Ayan.
Yes.
Huwag niyong
Kaitana
kalimutan.
is also my wild friend. Napakagaling photographer niya.
Ayan, 1
Not
minute na
in
lang.
the usual wild you would.
Okay. Safe. SFW. SFW thing. Alright, 1 minute to go. We are starting very, very soon. Sige, mabilisang shoutout muna sa mga nag-comment na dito. Ako na, Nico, Clyde, Renz, Ryan, Kat, Thine, Jay, Henry, Den, Mia, Sepi, Manny, Sepi, Clyde, Ryan, Paul, FJ, JF, Amiel, Amiel, Ken. Binasa ko lang lahat nung nag-comment dito. Diba? Very good. Thank you for joining us early this evening. Relatively early this evening, no? 20 seconds na lang. Excited na ako manalo ng tripod.
Yeah.
Teka nga,
So
nakita
guys,
ko yan eh.
start sharing your posts.
Tama, di ba? Ito yun.
Yeah.
Ito yun eh.
Yes.
Pero hindi ito yun. May bago kaming ibibigay ko sa inyo.
Hindi ko na ilalabas kasi naka-box naman.
Alright.
So,
Kayo na mag-unbox. Sayang video din. Ayan.
Yes.
Uy, time's up na. Wait lang. Pa-finalize ko lang yung audio natin. Baka mamaya buong stream may music na naman. GG na naman ako nito. Okay.
I don't know if anyone noticed that, pero last time.
Buong show may music. Okay, welcome to Weekly Tech Fuzz, your weekly budol habit. It's Friday again, and ano ba ito? WTF is powered by Upstream Media and caffeinated by Candid Coffee. My name is Glenn Lopez. Alongside me is
Nico Valenzuela. Hindi ko alam kung sasabihin mo yung pangalan ko or antayin ko
Sorry
yung
yun.
post mo eh.
So yun. And
But
tonight, ako na. On this episode, we sit down with photographer and architect Marc Henrich Go and talk about his photos from the wilderness of Kenya. He will also review some of the instrumental gear he had with him on that trip and a couple of things here and there. No, but before that, Nico, let's just throw the question of the day na pinalitan natin because of wholesome reasons, no?
Yeah.
Question of the day, please comment down below, where is your dream photography destination? Huwag niyo isipin kung may swab or hindi, or wala. Go ahead, Nico.
I think after 2 nights sharing from Marc, a lot of them are gonna say Kenya. Kasi ako it wasn't really in my radar, pero when I saw Marc's photo, sabi ko, wow, this is really something you should experience.
Actually,
But yeah, before we go.
Kape from Kenya. Ang gusto. Ang gusto ko.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So yeah, but before we go to our weekly photography and tech news, again, let's tell everyone how to win the BENRO RHINO very quickly, guys. Share the post and include the caption, sharing this because the BENRO RHINO tripod is wild and I want to win it. And of course, comment on this stream, #WTFWild. And yun nga, be sure you're following Weekly Tech Fuzz, BENRO Philippines, and Tamron Philippines. So, Fuzz of the Week.
Delikado pala to, no? Kasi you can type in sharing this because the BENRO RHINO, I like the BENRO RHINO tripod and I am wild, di ba?
Delikado.
Parang delikado. So,
Proofread
wholesome
nyo
tayo
yung
dito.
pinost nyo kasi baka you get in trouble, guys.
Correct. SFW lang tayo dito, no? Ayun.
Yeah.
Huwag din po kayo mag-iiwan ng mobile number sa comments kasi hindi po kami nag-load. Okay, sige. Let's go to our, ano ba?
Yeah, we
Fuzz
have a
of the
few
week.
news bits for the week.
Go ahead. I think
Yeah,
this is yours.
Syempre. Okay. If you guys are free and you are pet lovers and you have you like taking photos of your pet, of course, Sony Philippines is having the Pography by Sony. The kickoff event is going to be on March 13 to 14
Bukas
at Ayala Malls, Manila Bay. Yeah, that is tomorrow. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. and the following day as well. So, of course, this is one of the first few physical events, but be sure, guys, to stay safe, wear your masks, face shield.
Wash your hands.
Yeah. Yun.
Okay.
Next bit.
Next one is the ROG Phone 5 for those who dare. Nagkabaliktad yata. Ikaw pala dapat dito.
Go ahead.
Yes, if you look at this particular phone, sobrang ganda. Yung dot matrix na LCD, nag-evolve yan, Nico, di ba? Nababago yan, depende kung ano yung gusto mo ilagay na design dyan. But a couple of things, this was just launched virtually. I think a couple of days ago.
2 days ago.
2 days ago, 16 gig, up to 16 gig RAM, 256 gig memory, 144 hertz, refresh rate 300 hertz, sampling rate always on HDR, eye care, ang dami niyang features. HDR 10 plus, so medyo malupit. But I think the most exciting part dito was when they showed this, the white version.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more,
So,
diba?
the ROG Phone 5 Ultimate. I mean, check out the specs.
18 gig RAM. Parang mas mataas pa to sa mas maraming gaming laptops or gaming PCs, no? 512 gig. And then Snapdragon is SDM 888. And
Swerte pa, no? Swerte pa yung number.
oo nga eh. Parang baka pwede mong dagdagan ng RGB to tapos tsaka cooler. Okay na to. PC na to.
Most likely.
Most likely. And then the other one, the last announcement from this set is the announcement of the Nikon Z9. Yun na po yan.
Ano ba? We barely know anything yet about it because they only said of its development, but definitely it has 8K video. That's as far as everyone knows right now.
Correct. Okay, let's go back to this layout and ano matawag dito. Tingnan natin, mga nagko-comment dito. Babasa lang ako ng isa. Sabi ni Fine Tejada. Asan na ba yun? Let's see if we can bring it up on screen. Meron ba? No, hindi nakalink. Anyway, sabi ni Tyne, my dream destination of photography is on Switzerland. So Switzerland, I want to capture beautiful places there. And then si Jaytan, Norway, Iceland, Faroe Island, Arizona. And then Joshua Antiampo, Japan, Norway, and Iceland. Keep the answers coming to the question of the day. Where is your dream photography destination? Baka mamaya yung ibang sagot dito, prenup destination pala yung ilagay nila.
And pala, let's remind everyone, guys, for the posts that you are sharing, make sure it's public. Because we have someone who will be taking down the encoding the names for the raffle. So if your post is not public and you are not friends with that person, which is very likely, hindi makakount yung entry ninyo.
Parang sinabi mo namang private person yung natin, yung representative.
So pangalanan natin paki-add nila.
Mamaya na, wag na mamaya na. Okay, and again, we'll reiterate this. Share the stream with the caption, sharing this because their BENRO RHINO tripod is wild and I want to win it. I personally want to win it. Comment WTF wild, hashtag WTF wild on this live stream. And we will raffle this at the end of the show. Selected name must be matching to win. All right. Let's get to our main event, Nico.
All right. Let me just introduce to you guys the difference of this episode. Kasi madami nagsasabi recently na Weekly Tech Fuzz is a boodle show. And medyo bakit kasalanan namin ni Glenn kung nabubudol kayo. But essentially, we also want to impart some knowledge onto you guys. We want to bring in amazing photographers. Siyempre, a lot of the people who watch this are videographers and photographers. So we want to bring in our good friends, of course, who can teach and inspire you guys. So this is why we're starting this format for today, which is, of course, we're going to feature of an outstanding photographer. And you get to basically get to know the person personally through this stream. So we highly encourage your questions in the comments. Yeah. So without further ado, we're gonna talk about a lot of the things that this person shoots, but we're gonna focus also on a very remarkable trip he went on recently. And before anything else, siguro I'm gonna let him introduce himself because you guys should definitely see the photos that he has. But I've known this guy for tagal na, basta ang tagal na. We met each other in college and have been friends through that. Also in the photography industry. Of course. He's the #1 top-notcher for his architectural board exams and is a practicing licensed architect as well as an architectural photographer. So, ang dami. He's also multi-awarded and one of the two guys who founded Photo Masino, which is a breeding ground for many amazing photographers in UST. So, see, let's bring him in. Of course, guys, let's all welcome Marc Go.
Woo!
Hey, brother.
Hi.
Kamusta? How are you?
Good.
Yan, sige. Have you done a show like this before? Have you guested on a live stream like this before?
No, the live aspect is a bit different kasi yung parang it's like you give a talk. But this one, I think we're going for something that's very spontaneous, no? Something we discuss and then we just go with the flow. So I think it's gonna be a very interesting evening.
Yeah, definitely. And sabi ko nga, personally, I want to share the inspiration that I get from you to everyone who's watching it. So we want them talaga to be able to ask questions to you, not just about the wildlife safari that you're going to talk about, but maybe if some of them are, I don't know, maybe aspiring architects, or they're also people who are pursuing a profession aside from their passion in photography. Guys, definitely throw in your questions in the comments, and Glenn and I will read them out for Marc.
Sige, sisingit lang ako ng isang comment dito before we go ahead. Margarita Mina says, wow, Tamron Tito Marc is amazing. All right, take care of the way, Nico. And
All right,
Go
sige.
ahead.
Go ahead, Mark. Let's start.
Siguro if you ask me to describe myself, I would say that I am a creative with two professions. And as you mentioned earlier, I am an architect, so I'm into architecture and photography. So my first passion really started with landscape and travel photography. Um, when I was in college, every time I get the chance to travel locally or abroad, I'd bring my camera and I'd really take the time to shoot all the scenery that I see. So, for example, sometimes I'm in, if I work in Paris, I would take time to wake up very early before my workday starts. I'd swing by Trocadero Square, photograph Eiffel Tower. And actually, someone also mentioned earlier their dream destination is in Switzerland. Fortunately, with another Tomasan Paul, we won the DPP KLM on
Mm-hmm.
assignment, and the prize was an all expense paid trip to Europe.
Yeah, that was
So
amazing.
yeah, that was crazy. I think it was on the next slide. We went to it's one of the slides there. We went to Matterhorn Mountain. It was freezing during winter, pero ang sarap talaga mag-shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
this is
this was documented on DPP, right?
yes. When we
Yeah.
got back home, they asked us to do a travel article on our trip.
Yeah, I think I have that issue pa until now.
Oh, I should look for my issue nga pala.
Okay, go ahead. I think we lost your audio, Mark.
Just a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me?
There we
Yeah,
go.
there.
Yeah, better. Yeah, I really find that I'm drawn to landscape and travel photography. I love being in the spirit of the place, and then you try to capture that feeling, that emotion you have into still photographs. Na something you want it to be timeless, something that you want to preserve. Na when you look at it after a few years, you remember of the good times you had there. And the challenge also is how do you take that feeling and let someone feel the same way, diba? So that's the beauty of landscape and travel photography.
I think we lost the audio again.
Hold on, let me just
Hey,
check.
there. It's
You
okay.
guys- Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. Aside from travel photography, I took up architecture in college. So now that I was into the architecture and design industry, I realized that why don't I try my hand in architectural photography since it's something I'm already into. So that's when I started doing architectural photography. For example, this photograph was taken in the US in one of our projects. So one of the reasons why I was able to transition easily from landscape photography to architectural is because um, with architectural photography, it's very difficult to control the light. You have to know the right time of the day, um, paano tumama yung araw, how to manipulate ambient light. And essentially with landscape photography, it's the same thing. You can't tell the
Mm-hmm.
sun where to rise, where to set. You have to do research on that. You have to understand how to manipulate ambient light coming through the windows. So generally, the technical aspects is quite similar.
Yeah.
Um, this photograph that is on screen I is very close to my heart because I was part of the team that went through the design process, construction, and even afterwards, I also was able to photograph it. And then the two black and white photos in the right picture, the client of this apartment in Paris wanted Parisian or French photos on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did for him is I went around Paris. I shot Eiffel Tower and the Louvre. Then we had it printed in fine art rag for this one. So basically, it's the whole process from
Mm-hmm.
design to construction, and then you shoot it afterwards. So here are some of the examples of architectural photography. So it's kind of similar because you learn how to manipulate the situation you are in. So how to control the sky, how to control lighting, also how to frame and angle your photographs.
All right. Um, medyo in awe ako of the photos talaga. Of course, Mark knows na he's one of my inspirations din in architectural photography. So, sige, we're gonna talk about something quite distant from our beloved architectural photography, and also a bit siguro medyo related to landscape. But maybe some of the people who are watching who already know Mark are asking parang, bakit wildlife yung pag-uusapan niya? Pero architectural photographer siya. But I'm sure everyone's gonna be in awe of the photos. So, sige, we just want you to tell us the story of how things came to be before we go to the actual images that you shot. So how did you go through this?
Well, fortunately, Vicky Bello and Hayden Ko are good friends of mine. We worked together on several architecture and design projects together, and that's how we became good friends. And when they got married in Paris a few years ago, they also asked me to do their prenup. So starting then, we had a good time abroad. So every time they go on trips, they usually ask me if I'm available, and I'd go out with them. So last year, all of us knew that it was the pandemic, so there were travel restrictions. But it was a good thing that Kenya, among some other countries, they're very good in terms of controlling the pandemic, the virus in their area. So they're one of the few countries that were also that allowed travel coming in. So normally, kasi Kenya, people love going there because of its diverse wildlife. So it's about just 0.01% of the land mass of the land area of Africa, but about 40% of the large mammals in Africa, you can find it in Kenya. So for such a small area, you have so much diversity of wildlife. So parang one-stop shop siya for if you want wildlife.
It's like the full National Geographic experience na.
Yeah, as you can see here in the photo, parang it's really different. I was telling you also, Nico, some time ago na, photography is not just about the photographs you take home, but it's also about the experience, the journey you have taking those photographs, diba?
Yeah.
See, photography is not just about the photos; it's about the experience.
And enjoying the experience.
That's right. And for me, compared to the other genres that I've done, wildlife photography and especially safari is totally different because, for example, architectural photography, you plan your shoot weeks or days in advance, so you kind of know what to expect, what the house looks like, how to shoot it. When you do travel, you know that later this afternoon I'll be going to the Eiffel Tower, or after that I'll swimming by the Louvre. But with safari or wildlife photography, you go out of the camp. You have no idea what you're going to see for that day. So there's really that sense of spontaneousness, a sense of excitement every time.
The thrill of just letting things unfold na.
Right.
Yeah, I guess it's something also relatable with landscape in such a way that you don't know how the environment is going to surprise you, but this is, I guess, kicking it up a notch, diba? Kasi it's also a hunt, diba? It's a hunt. So yeah, do share with us some more photos. I'm particularly curious of syempre sabi mo nga it's really good in Kenya how they control the pandemic. But what were the requirements, and how do you even get to Kenya? Like I don't even know how to get there.
One of the good things with Kenya is they allow online application of your visa. So you can go through their website, you see the things that you have to compile, and then you submit everything, and you can even pay via credit card. Then after a few days or at most a week, they'll send you back information if you've been accepted, and then they'll send you your e-visa.
Okay.
And of course, it's the pandemic, so one of the major requirements is a swab test that you have to do 72 hours before departure. So you have to make sure that. And of course, personally also, they also advise you to be very prepared. So lots of masks, face shield. Um, you can bring your own, like you have those ionizers. Some of them have it's called Easy Flow. It's parang it purifies your air that you breathe. You put it under your mask. So it's quite challenging because you're going through two long haul flights and you're expected to wear your mask at all times except for when you're eating. So even when you're sleeping, you have to wear a mask. So medyo just extra precaution na rin before you get there. But it's totally worth the hassle to get there.
Yeah, seems like it eh. Tsaka, I'm sure the important thing is that despite the pandemic, you're really following the guidelines, diba? So you're going to a place where it's low yung dispersion of the virus. So it's also being cautious of being the one to bring it there. So talagang I know a lot of people want to travel now, pero syempre iba yung situation. Like if you're going somewhere with a lot of cases or you're going somewhere with no cases, but essentially if it's allowed, it's still important to be following the protocol, diba?
That's right.
Sige.
Ayan,
So,
Nico, may comments lang dito. Doc, budol nga tong show na... Sorry, wala pala ako sa screen. Doc, budol nga tong show na to, nabudol na agad kami sa Kenya. So, mukhang may mga nagbo-book na yata ng trips. And I think, yun si Jay, si Emil, which is actually the next part of what you're gonna talk about, is, of course, partly the gear, but also, ano ba, yung mindset coming into this tour or this endeavor, photography endeavor. Go ahead, take it away.
yeah, actually, let's ask Mark the most common question. What was in your bag for this journey?
Okay, here, buti na lang I took a picture. I took a snapshot of my bag. This is only one picture before I left. So normally it's safari. It's a totally different gear from what I normally use for architectural and landscape. Alam mo naman yun, Nico, we both do architectural landscape. The must-have in your bag is a wide angle or a tilt shift na super wide. This is totally
That I
different.
used to borrow from you.
Yeah, pareho kami, which we share. So this one, it's also different in terms of mindset. Kasi with landscape and architectural photography, you are the tendency is to see things in a wider perspective. You see how everything relates to each other, what goes with each other, and then to shift to something that's an extreme. So from an ultra wide angle, you shift to a super telephoto. So it's a different perspective also. On that trip, my main camera was a Canon R5 mirrorless, and my main lens was a Tamron 150 to 600 mm. So this is already in the super telephoto range. So aside from my main gear, the thing is when you go on safari, as you can see in the picture, you're out there. You have dust. There's leaves. You're under the elements. So it's really not advisable to be changing lenses. So normally you'll have to have a secondary body with you with a secondary lens. So for me, my secondary body was my Canon 5D Mark III, and my second lens was a 2470. The reason why I have a 2470 is because, as I said, it's unexpected what to see there. So there was this time I remembered there was a huge lioness that brushed right beside me, as in literally 1 to 2 feet away from you. So if you have your super telephoto, syempre, di mo naman pala yun. So you switch right away with your 2470 and you take shots with that. And I was also, one of the good things that you really need to have is a good backpack. When you do safaris, they don't usually allow you to bring strollers or anything with wheels na matigas because you'll be using very small planes. So for me, my super lifesaver was my low pro tactic for Philippines. It's huge. As you can see in this photo, I had two super telephoto lenses. I have an 800 mm and a 150 to 600. I have two bodies, full frame bodies, and then I have a 24 to 70 lens. And on top of that, I have a tablet. I have my laptop also all in this bag.
This is the 450, no?
This is a 450. Yeah, it's a huge
Right.
one. And
Perfect.
sobrang sakto kasi when I'm in Manila, I have a different layout in terms of the bag interiors. Because all you need is wide angle lenses, you need flash, you need other things. For this trip, I was able to reconfigure the whole thing to fit these super long lenses.
I remember, Mark, a few years back, you were also into the messenger bags, diba? So,
Yeah.
medyo, I'm gonna turn the tables around. Medyo bubudol kita. So there's actually a Pro Tactic messenger bag that came out. And it's gonna be available very soon. But yeah, I published the review for that. I'll send it to you na lang.
Sige, send it. Alam mo,
Binudol yung guest, diba?
alam mo naman
Okay,
ako, mali ako
but-
mabudol. Nako.
But tell us then about the other important things like your attire. So I'm sure there's more to just looking like you're on a safari than there is to that. So do tell us the reason about that.
Right. When I went on safari, people were asking, ano ba yun, Mark? Parang may ano ba talaga? Safari attire? I mean, there's a safari look that everybody goes for. So that's usually you wear something olive green or beige or brown. Yeah, something like this. And we were wondering, ano ba yun? Pauso lang ba talaga yun? Pero actually, when you go on safari, it's really part of the guidelines of the organizers that you have to wear clothing that blends with the environment. So as you can see here, you can blend better with the grass, with the leaves behind you. And that also coincides with one of the questions is, like, if you can see in this vehicle, it's open. There are no doors, there are no windows. So, safe ba talaga yan? So, the answer is, animals, they see this 4x4 go around, and they see it as one huge animal that just rumbles around doing nothing. So, that's why you're asked to wear these clothing, is because you want to blend as much as possible.
Okay.
The moment you're wearing like bright pink or red this vehicle, there's a chance that the wild animals will parang stop and think na parang, oh, ano to? So the goal of the safari is to blend as much as possible, to be seamless with the environment. So you capture the animals in their natural habitat. So the moment you distract them, parang they're not at ease anymore.
Yeah, they get overwhelmed, no, with the very bright colors.
That's correct.
I remember, well, I haven't been to Kenya, but I have experienced being spat on by an elephant. So obviously, so this was at the Manila Zoo, because of the late John Chu, and I was wearing red because of an event that required red. And John Chu actually told me na parang, okay, alika, I'll introduce you to Mali. Yun pala, he was planning it all along. O, alam niya that the red would startle Mali. Tapos dinugaan ako. So I had to change clothes and everything. So I do get that part. But also maybe because for the predators, red is the color of meat, diba?
Right.
Yeah. So, how were you able to shoot? Were you going out of that vehicle, or mostly inside?
Okay, there are two types of reserves that you normally go to. Actually, para medyo suspense there, we're not showing any photos yet. Pero just so you guys know, there's normally two types of reserves that people go to when they go on safari, whether it be in Kenya, Botswana, Tanzania, or some other countries. It's either a national reserve or a conservancy.
Okay.
So the difference is, for a national reserve, it is managed by the government, but it's generally huge. For example, the national reserve that I went to is called Masai Mara. To give you an idea how big this is, the whole Metro Manila, all the cities within Metro Manila, is around 619 square kilometers. The Masai Mara is 1,500 square kilometers.
Wow.
So it's
Okay.
more than times two
More.
the size
Uh-uh.
of Metro Manila. So the same thing. Maybe we'll try to show some of the photos that shows you the expanse of how big these reserves are.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, the first one is a national reserve. So the thing with that is it's bigger, so there's more diversity in terms of wildlife. But another thing is they're stricter. So there are parang may sarili silang MMDA nandun.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, you have to follow. There are no paved roads, so you go through a dirt road, but that's specified. The
Mm-hmm.
driver or your guide cannot go off road. So for example, you're driving along, you see a lion beside. You wanted to go off road to go beside the lion. You can't do that, or else the license of your guide will be revoked.
Okay.
So you were asking, can you go out of the vehicle? When it comes to if you do a safari in a national reserve, that's not possible. You're only allowed to stay within your vehicle. Of course, all your limbs within the car also.
Mm-hmm.
Then the second reserve you can go to is a conservancy. So conservancy is a bit smaller, but it's usually owned by private hands.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, since the rangers aren't there, you don't really have to. They're not as stringent. So there are times that you can do walking safari, but of course
Okay.
here you have a Maasai warrior with you. You also
Mm-hmm.
have rangers with tranquilizers with you, just to make sure that you're safe if anything happens. So the camp, this is called Mara Bush Tops. It's actually glamping. So as you can see, this one on screen, this is our, well, we call it a tent, but it feels like a villa.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is overlooking the savannah.
So that actually looks comfortable.
It is.
Yeah. So for the medyo maselan people, it's still quite doable, no?
Right, right,
Like those who aren't used to sleeping in tents and all that.
right. It's really glamping.
Mm-hmm. So you were saying the National Reserve. So this one technically there is that possibility of being attacked, for example.
Of course, it's less because these guides, they're
Mm-hmm.
normally parang at least 10 years experience in what they're
Mm-hmm.
doing. Some of them, most of their life, they've been doing that. So they're they know the rules. They're
Mm-hmm.
very safe. So generally, you really trust what they're seeing.
Mm-hmm. And I guess
So
the animals also are kind of used to seeing those nano.
right, right. That's
Mm-hmm.
why they tell you don't do this, do that. You really have to follow them because they kind of know about the situation. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, kami, we've been to two reserves. One is a national reserve, which is Masai Mara. Then the
Mm-hmm.
second one is Lewa, which is a conservancy. So we noticed that in Masai Mara there were more animals, um, as far as your eye can see. But on the other hand, they're more wary of you and of other animals
Mm-hmm.
because it's really it's really the circle of life.
Mm-hmm.
In Lewa, on the other hand, it's a conservancy. So there, napansin namin the animals don't really mind the vehicles as much.
Mm-hmm.
So a frequent question is, should you go to a conservancy or should you go to a national reserve? So normally what they do, they put both together.
Yeah. For a diverse experience, no?
Right. But it's
Uh,
literally, when you're there, the scale is really different. Like, for example, here, really, as far as your eye can see, it's all just vast savannas, vast
mm-hmm.
lakes. Parang kang nasa dagat actually when you're there. As far as even up to the horizon,
Mm-hmm.
that's all you can.
Galing. Feeling ko if I were there, ipupush ko pa din mag-landscape. That's just me.
Well, actually, Nico, that's one thing I was able to do.
Uh-huh.
On the last morning, the morning before we flew off, I spoke to the guide. I told him, oh, his name is James.
Mm-hmm.
So James, I wanna do landscape photography. I saw a spot yesterday that
Mm-hmm.
resembled a painting that I saw in my lodge. So I
Mm-hmm.
told him, can we go back and shoot that early morning? So since it was a conservancy, we were able to get out of the car. I was able to plant my tripod and shoot that scene.
Solid. All right. I really wanna move forward because I want to show everyone the photos that you took. Kasi talagang these, I don't know. I don't think I've seen photos like these from a Filipino photographer. So definitely this is something I really want to share to the audience then. So yeah, let's start showing your photos with the animals and tell us a bit about maybe the things you learned about these animals. What were the parang I would say the bucket list items for anyone who would go on safari, and maybe also a bit about the shooting experiences. Like, what was your mindset and how did you approach being able to capture these images?
Well, actually, the thing with safaris is it's a totally different experience. Na syempre, our environment in the Philippines is a bit different. So, sanay tayo sa landscape, um, and then we can shoot other things as well. Pero we don't have this type of scenery and this type of, the large animals where we are. So, napansin ko, the first few days, you really have to calibrate on how to address the situation. Like, I remember the first few days, your main concentration was, how do I get things in focus? Paano ko didiskartehan ko yung lens, di ba? How do I do that? Kasi your mind is more on the technical aspect first. As you become more comfortable with the gear, the situation you are in, then you start focusing more on your composition already.
Sige, so talk about some of the photos that are being shown on screen.
Okay. Well, zebra is a favorite of most photographers because they're very photogenic. You often go for contrast. So how can you go wrong with an animal that's basically black and white?
Yeah. And even also with the I imagine with the foliage, it's still very striking.
Right. So the thing with wildlife photography, you can't tell your subjects what to do, right? So ikaw yung kailangan mag-antay talaga.
Yeah.
Safari is a game of waiting. You go there. That's the thing. Normally you go there, you're overwhelmed with what you see, the animals. So everything in your mind is just about taking a sharp photo for that, right? And then after a while, you realize na ano pala siya. You have to get the lighting right. So that's one tip I could give siguro. Make sure you get the lighting right. Position your vehicle where it should be. Because if, for example, you're against the light, your background will be washed out. So siguro the first few days, some of my shots were washed out because you're more immersed with taking the shot rather than composing it properly. So essentially, you feel like you are on a drone, and then you go around, then you base your shot on your vehicle. So there really has to be communication with your driver and your guide. You tell them, okay, let's go on this area because that's what I want to see, and that's how I want to photograph it.
So siguro there's a bit of a learning curve din, no, when shooting kasi you adjust talaga to the situations.
Right.
Nico, singit lang ako. There's a comment from Kelvin Obanya. Parang kahit saan mo itapat ang camera, 100% ang ganda ng kakalabasan. Yes and no, no? Mark, parang as what you just said, you also have to be aware, still photography, you still have to be aware of the light. Diba? Kung saan siya and as you said, you were against the light or parang overexposed. Tama ba yung pagkakaintindi ko from earlier, no?
Actually, sa safari, that's the thing. Hindi siya kung saan ka tumapat maganda na siya because, well, it might look good at first because it's something you haven't seen. Pero I would compare it to Switzerland. Yun, Switzerland, wherever you point your camera, it's really photogenic. The whole thing is amazing. Pero in safaris kasi, some of your shots, if you don't compose properly, it's just a vast plain of all grass. Well, yes, that looks good. Pero after some time, it gets dull already. Medyo mahirap. Waiting game nga siya kasi you go there, you look for the animal, you hope that the right animal will appear at the right place at the right time with the right light at your right angle. Kasi kung nakatutok ka sa malayo, mas malapit pala, hindi mo napansin.
Mhm.
Ano rin yun.
So I imagine it's more of actually a game of isolating from the very, very wide vista, no?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think wildlife photography is all about, as you said, yes, it's all about isolation. It's about separating a subject from everything else, focusing on what's happening.
Mhm.
Unlike with landscape photography, you kind of take everything in and frame everything as it should be.
Mhm.
For example, this one, this is Zazu from Lion King. So as you can see, acto at the right time, he was eating a bug. So kita pa nga may bug siya in mid-air.
Mhm.
So again,
So,
it's
go ahead.
kind of like sports photography. Na with sports kasi, when I first tried it out, it was very difficult because you had to understand the sport or the subject for you to be able to predict what's going to happen next.
Mhm.
So the same thing with wildlife. You have to understand where the animal is going, what it's going to do next for you to predict your photographs.
So that photo with the bug being eaten, was it shot in burst?
Yes. So that's
Okay.
another thing with wildlife photography. Kailangan yung camera mo, well, preferred mabilis, and even your memory card.
Mhm.
You don't know what's happening. You don't know what's gonna happen next. So what you do is make sure everything's in focus and take as much shots as you can, and then dun ka na magde-decide later on which one you're gonna use.
Mhm.
Because it's
We
spontaneous.
have a question from the audience actually. Clyde Kevin is asking if you were shooting alone or was it with a group? How big was the group, if ever?
Generally, when you do safari, it's usually as a group. Uh, More also because you get to split the cost with other people. So in one 4x4, I think you can fit one, two, three, four, about 6 to 8 people, depending on the configuration of the vehicle. Tsaka, syempre, pag buong araw ka na sa labas, mas masaya pag may kasama ka, di ba?
Mhm.
Kasi again, it's pretty much like fishing, di ba? Most of the time, nakaupo ka lang, nandun yung rod mo. And then,
Yeah.
that 5 minutes of something, that makes up for your whole day of waiting. So it's the same thing with wildlife photography. You sit there, you in the heat while waiting for the right animal to come along, and that's when you do your composition. So to answer your question, normally as a group siya yung safari.
Okay. Sige. I just want to go a bit more about the photos, and Glenn is flashing them, but can you tell us siguro your top 3 animals that you enjoyed shooting? How did it feel shooting and seeing them? Kasi I'm pretty sure these animals aren't really things we see a lot, di ba?
Well, this one, the one on screen, I think is one of my favorite. We were fortunate to have around, I think, 6 or 7 days of safari. And among all those days, we never saw a male lion.
Okay.
So just to fill in, there's what you call the big five of African animals. So that includes the lion, elephant, leopard, buffalo, and rhino. So parang checklist yan eh. When you go to Africa Safari, you have to see at least one of these 5 animals. So it's also like, for example, I'm going to Paris, I don't see the Eiffel Tower or the Louvre. Parang ganun. May bucket list ka dapat. So normally that's they call it the big 5. So among that, I think my favorite is the lion because as I said earlier, parang for the first 6 days, we weren't able to spot any single male lion.
Male
Female, medyo marami. Ang male kasi, male is the only one that has that mane. Si Simba or si Mufasa.
Okay.
So, I remember one of our last days, the sun was already going down. We were focused on 2 female lions. When suddenly, parang, yung guides kasi, what happens is, they contact each other. You see a guide on the road, let's stop. You ask them, oh, what did you see? And then they'd say na parang, oh, I saw a herd of elephants right there behind the hill. So you go rush over there. So at that time, Medyo paggabi na yun, it was very, very dark. Sinabi sa amin, oh, there's a male lion several kilometers away. So I remember that time we were driving so fast. The driver told us to hold on. And then buti na pa namin yung male lion na to. Kasi syempre, wala ka na mga flash. So and then the thing is, pag you made it slow shutter speed, lion gumagalaw eh. So it's really a game of ano talaga, titimplahin mo talaga yung shots mo.
Yeah. And that's where your artistic vision and your intent really comes into play. Well, ako, wala akong doubt about that eh. I mean, I saw you shoot a good variety of things when we were both in college eh, diba? But I think we have a very pressing question. A few people are asking kung pwede daw ang drone.
Yeah, that's the thing, which was also in my mind before I went there. When I did some research, apparently bawal pala ang drone. Kasi the thing with safari is they want to keep it as close to nature as possible. So, diba, as I said earlier, that's why you wear the same clothes that they see, is because you want to blend in. Definitely, you cannot drop any trash. You can't even, for example, you have fruits in the car. You can't just drop seeds because when it grows, that tree or that shrub isn't from that area. So they're very strict with that. The thing with drones, kasi maingay, and it startles the animals. So
it would be very imprudent.
And it's something I've never seen before. So, syempre, it really changes siguro the way they interact. So, as per the drone, hindi talaga pwede ang drone from what I know. But we were lucky because on this trip, we were able to do a hot air balloon safari. Which up to a few weeks before the trip, I didn't know was possible. Kasi when you go online, you see these amazing shots of African savanna landscape. Then may hot air balloon. Sabi ko, okay, Photoshop siguro to. So I did, I think. But like this shot, we were able to do a hot air balloon safari. So early in the morning, about 4 or about 3:30, you leave camp, and then you drive to the hot air balloons. So what you do is you take off just in time for the sunrise. So the beautiful thing is, yung nagtatanong kasi, syempre you want drone because you want to see it from a different point of view. And the hot air balloon is one of the few ways you can do that. So like photos Glenn is showing were taken from hot air balloon.
Kaya pala. So guys, to those watching and those who were a bit, I guess, startled to see aerial images. So that's how those were captured. So it's an entirely different thing. It was a hot air balloon. If you don't mind answering this question, a lot of people are actually asking it. Can you give us a ballpark figure of how much one would have to spend to do this?
Okay, ballpark I would say is anywhere from, it depends kasi on the lodging that you're gonna stay in. Is it gonna be a 5-star? Is it gonna be 3-star? Your flights, would it be chartered na kayo lang? I-rent niyo buong aeroplano para dumating doon? You have to understand that among all the places I've fortunately been to around the world, safari is the most difficult place to get to. Kasi, for example, Europe, pupunta ka ng Paris, pagdating mo doon, pwede ka mag-bus, pwede ka mag-tren, you can even walk. You can do things on your own. When you get to a safari kasi, you have to have everything pre-planned for you. So kami, we flew to Nairobi. Then from Nairobi to the destination, you need to have a chartered plane. And then when you get there, dapat yung transportation mo nandun na. Siyempre, pag pinaba ka ng aeroplano, kainin ka ng... diba? Everything has to be set for you, like the car that you're gonna use, what time you're gonna back. So ballpark, I would say, is around 200,000 for the package.
Okay. And, which I think isn't bad considering the experience. I mean, if you have the... I think for you, syempre, definitely you would say it's hella worth it, diba? Sige, before we move on to the next segment,
Sisingit lang ako, Nico, ng mabilis. Quotable
Go
quote.
ahead, go
Para
ahead.
maalala nyo kung paano magplano dito. Huwag kayong pupunta doon ng hindi planado kasi baka pag land ng eroplano nyo, makain kayo ng leon.
Makain kayo.
Tandaan nyo yung
Tama,
part
tama.
na yun. Okay,
Tama.
let's go.
Marc
Go ahead,
Go
Nico.
2021.
Word
All
to
right.
exam.
Before we move on to the next segment, siguro one last time, let's remind everyone how they can join the giveaway for tonight, because I know a lot of you guys are really itching to win this prize. So again, if you have not, or actually, you can do it repetitively. Share the stream, make sure it's public, and write the caption, sharing this because the BENRO RHINO tripod is wild and I want to win it. And comment on the post on this live stream, hashtag WTF wild. And of course, make sure you're following Weekly Tech Fuzz, of course. Siguro naman guys, kung nanonood kayo ngayon, medyo na-like nyo na yung page, di ba? Also, like and follow Benro Philippines and Tamron Philippines. So, yun. I'll hand things over to Glenn. I think he has a few technical questions about the shooting experience.
Ay, sorry na palabas kagad kita dun sa layout. Thank you, Nico. But yes, I have a couple of questions. And meron ding mga questions dito. But before I go to the technicals, the 200,000 is around how many days daw?
200,000, I think that's around 10 days.
Parang,
So,
parang mas mahal pakinggan kapag 200,000 versus 200K dun sa, dun sa mga nagko-comment dito. But definitely, worth it yan, di ba, Mark?
worth it. Oo.
Okay, and aside from that investment of actually flying there, I believe you have some particular pieces of gear you found instrumental to your shooting experience and being the producer of this show as well. Let's go back to this particular photo that you had. Can you tell us more about this particular lens that you are holding on this image?
Okay, this lens is a 150 to 600 mm Tamron. So, actually, this trip was kind of spontaneous. Mga parang sinabihan na ako parang a few weeks before aalis kami. We left the day after Christmas, December 26. So, mga first week of December, tinawagan na ako ni Hayden. Oh, Mark, punta kami Africa. Do you wanna come? So, syempre, ba't ka maghihindi? So, last minute, I was fortunate. I was able to call Lightroom, Tamron Philippines, and ask them if I could borrow this lens. Kasi it's this range is more than perfect for that experience. Kasi dati when I thought that having a 7200 was enough. Kasi normally pag nasa city ka, 7200 solve ka na eh. Pero at the expanse and scale of the Safari, you need something more of parang something that goes with 500, 600. And what's nice here, it has the flexibility to go up to 150. So, and
600 to all the way to 600, you mean?
yes, from 150 all the way to 600. So it's a very versatile range.
What's
Compared
the aperture for this one?
the aperture, if I'm not mistaken, starts at 5.6 onwards.
5.6 to 6.3, I guess, on the telephoto end, no?
Pero as well, di ba normally with telephoto lens, this one is 5.6 to 6.3.
Yeah.
But because of the distance between your subject and your background, you can really maximize the depth. Maybe Glenn, if you can pull up one photo.
Sige, let's pull up
Your
one photo. So, essentially, yung sinasabi mo, wala ka ng problema sa depth of field in this range.
Wala
no?
kang magiging problema. Like
Is
like this.
Mhm.
Or let's
The
yeah,
next
this
one, I think. This one. Or something farther. Wait lang, hanap tayo dito.
Sige.
Ng photo. Can you name an animal na medyo malayo when you photographed?
This one.
Okay,
This is
this
also
one.
perfect. This lioness, so as you can see, normally kasi isipin natin, hindi kailangan 2.8 or 2.0 for you to get that creamy bokeh. Here, actually all of these shots, if not most of them, are using that 150 to 600. So with that distance, the subject away from you and the subject away from the background, you still get that creamy bokeh. So I think this one was shot around 6.3, I think. Pero if you can see the photo, sobrang you blur the front and you blur the back also.
Pag dugtong-dugtongin na natin, Mark, 6.3 shutter speed at around, what was your
That's
shutter
the thing.
speed for this one?
With shutter speed, of course, the farther the animal is from you, then the faster your shutter speed is. And in line with that, Glenn, kaya maganda yung Nets for me is because it's lighter. So, mas stable siya sa kamay mo. Because you have to consider two things. There's the shake from the camera, which is galing sa'yo, pag hawak mo.
Yeah.
Yung isa naman is the movement from the animal. So, those are the two things that you have to balance.
And then the
So-
ISO, sorry if dugtong na natin, the ISO for this one.
Okay, ako my
Ballpark
workflow for the Safari is I set usually my aperture is around 5.6 to 6.3 more or less.
Okay.
So if there are 2 or 3 animals, I'd step down to 7.1 more or less. If it's just one animal, I can do 5.3.
5.6.
And then the next thing I would set is my shutter speed. I would go somewhere like siguro minimum na 320. Sometimes I'd go 1/500 on Marcs. And then yung ISO ko yung maglalaro. So like this shot, kitang-kita yung light tumatama sa mukha ng female lion. So with such strong light, you can step down your ISO to 100 or 200. And then if there's no sun, it's in the shade, your ISO goes to up to 500 or even 1,000 sometimes. So ang laro mo talaga sa ISO because the aperture and the shutter speed are sort of non-negotiables when you shoot something like this.
What was the highest ISO that you would go for this one, or at least when you were shooting this set?
Siguro pa there were times that for the lion photo, I think that was around 3,200 or 4,000 na.
Ano na siya parang medyo deadly combination na siya. I mean, I shoot sports as well. Parang pag nag-start ka sa high shutter speed, tapos you have a certain aperture, parang yung ISO talagang babanatan mo na siya 'di ba? And that's opposite of what you do for landscape, 'di ba? Parang pababaan kasi this time around, you have to freeze the action. And I think you have pretty stable hands kasi if you shoot 1/320 at 400 millimeter, medyo na 'yon. Medyo intense na siya. Ano pa ba? How was the autofocus given of this particular lens, yung 150 to 600, given that the animals were moving not just sidewards but also moving towards or away from you? Can you tell us more about this?
Well, the autofocus was actually impressive. It was able to keep up with the things I photographed. For example, this one, nung kinain ng hyena yung, I think this was a buffalo. Of course, when you eat it and it runs away, you have to chase that. So, kailangan talaga in the safari, although people don't realize it, it's a highly technical photography genre. You have to understand your equipment. You have to be fast enough to manipulate it to what the scene demands. So ito, humahabol yung actually natatapatan ng lens yung kailangan ko.
Okay, and then you have to be familiar. Parang part na rin yan, nagiging muscle memory na rin kung ano yung features ng lens na ginagamit mo, di ba? And then that's an important thing to be aware of as well. Can you tell us a bit more about the image stabilization for this for the Tamron 150 to 600?
Actually, IS is such a big help. When you're shooting something like 24/70, hindi masyadong mapapansin. But you go farther than 150, you go to 200, especially at 600. Sobrang laki ng difference. I was able to notice that kasi one time I was shooting and then sabi ko parang hirap mag-shoot. And then I realized na flick ko pala yung off ng IS button. So, ang laki ng difference. So, IS will really help you stabilize it. When you're shooting at that focal length, sobrang konting galaw lang ng kamay mo, it's gonna move a meter or 2 already away from the subject. So when you're shooting safari, IS is such a big necessity. It's actually not a help. It's more of like a necessity already.
Non-negotiable ba na nag-shoot ka ng RAW as well when you were when you were doing this?
Yeah, definitely. Kasi with Safari, parang you can't take multiple shots and then blend mo, or you can't really bring, unlike landscape, you can control your composition, so you bring down the ISO. With Safari, you really have to. It's more of a dance, eh. Kasi you react to the moment, eh. So if the situation, like gusto mo, syempre ISO 200 lang or 100. Pero kung kinailangan, step up ka sa 4,000. Uh, so by shooting RAW, you're able to manipulate, you're able to extract the most out of your image. Actually, someone told me sometime back, I was still in college pa, na it's better to have a noisy shot that is focused, that is sharp, without motion blur, rather than you have a blurry shot na not grainy. Kasi hindi mo na magagamit yun eh. Mababa nga yung noise mo sa 100, malabo, wala ka na magagawa. Unlike you take a shot that's sharp pero grainy at, let's say, 3,000, especially now may mga noise reduction software naman eh, that can take care of that.
If I may ask, dun sa tawag dito, sa aperture niya and against the ISO and all, how was the light sa Safari? Na parang, ano yung similar time of day dito sa atin? Kasi I was looking at some of the images, parang ang tagal nung sunset, ang tagal nung sunrise, or can you tell us more about this?
The reason why the light is really nice is because nagkataon, golden hour lang usually lumalabas yung mga animals.
Okay,
Like,
okay.
if you're a landscape photographer, you do landscape photography, you know that the best time to shoot is sunrise, and then up to, let's say, maximum na yung 10, and then sunset. So lalabas ka mga 4, and then abutan mo na ng sunset yun. So animals are the same thing. They're most active during the cooler times. So that's why you have to leave the camp at around, let's say, 5 or 6, para nandun ka pa habang malamig pa yung panahon. The moment that the sun goes up and it gets hotter, they start hiding sa shade. And because of camouflage, you won't be able to spot them anymore.
Parang tao din pala.
Parang
Parang tao din pala, no? Natatawa ko dito kasi si Dennis Murillo, nag-hashtag WTF Wild siya, tapos ginamit niya lahat ng animal emojis. So, siya na naglagay ng Safari niya dun sa chat, no? Anything else that you'd like to talk about this particular? I'm sure you had a good experience with the Tamron 150 to 600. Parang, what was the most remarkable feature for you or experience for you dito sa lens na to?
Siguro sa lens na to, it's really the range eh. Like as you can see here, ito mga ibon, they're smaller. So kailan mo siya i-shoot ng, this is around 600 mm na. Then you go to
nito.
super layo.
Sa'yo.
Malayo, tapos maliit yung hayop. So kailangan super zoom. And then some of the shots there, you have huge animals like, for example, the giraffe, malaki siya. Kasi syempre yung leeg ang haba eh. So, pag na 600 ka dyan, kita mo lang yung leeg lang, di ba? So that flexibility in terms of focal length is such a big difference. And then siguro one thing I wanted to add. At first I was quite hesitant kasi the main body I was using is a Canon R5 which is mirrorless. And then this lens is actually an EF, not an RF. So I had to use an adapter for it. Pero actually, parang it even works faster than mounted on a native EF body. So as I said earlier, it was able to keep up and actually outperform yung situation when I was using my DSLR compared to mirrorless.
Correct. Because in this context, you don't want your tools to actually try to catch up to your creativity. Kasi kapag naiwan yun, sayang naman, di ba? You're in the moment already, tapos alam mo na muscle memory how it works. Eh, no? So, I'm glad that the Tamron 150 to 600 was able to keep up with the creativity that you wanted to bring to this particular Safari. Okay, merong question dito, but sige, ipoprompt ko lang ulit to. We're almost done with the show. Before we move on to the next part, again, how to win, share the stream with the caption, sharing this because the BENRO RHINO tripod is wild and I want to win it. Don't forget to make sure this is a public post if you want to win this particular tripod. And comment hashtag WTFWild on the live stream. Okay, sige. Before I go to planning also, asking about planning the gear that you brought, Harley Wilsons asks for the question, Sir Mark, how much planning goes into a photo? Do you have an idea of what you want before you are even in that particular country?
Generally, what you can do, which also what I did, a few weeks before the trip, I researched on the type of photos you can take. So you look for these National Geographic photographers na yun talaga yung specialty. Then you try to see the creative input they're doing into that. Kasi it's something that you've never experienced before. So at least ito, in a way, you kinda know what to expect. You know what's possible. It pushes your boundaries into it. Amount of planning that goes into it, you have to have the right gear, and then you have to understand the right settings, so you read about it. But of course, no matter what you do, unexpected eh. You don't know what's gonna show up, how it's gonna show up. Kasi kala mo naupo lang, bigla na may tumatakbo, may dalang buto. So
I see.
May dugo-dugo pa. So you don't know what to expect. So you plan the most as you can, but there's always that part that you have to react to the situation.
Natatawa ako dito kasi meron tayong isang nag-comment na nagdala rin siya ng wildlife sa comments niya. Pero yung parang may dragon, may unicorn, may dinosaur. Hindi ko alam kung paano mo paghahandaan yan. But in relation to that, I think you also brought in a tool that we're actually giving away tonight. Tell us about the BENRO RHINO tripod that you also had with you. Wait lang. I actually have it with me. Pero hindi ako magsa-safari. Parang,
actually,
go ahead. Sorry.
The reason why I brought that is I think a week before going to the safari, I went to Tamron, Philippines, to Lightroom to borrow the 150 to 600. And a good friend of mine, John Tan, was there to send me off and to give me the lens. Pero while there, we were discussing about BENRO, and then he was telling me there's this new tripod, BENRO RHINO. So linabas niya, nakita, I was trying it out. Nabudol ako eh. I had to buy that tripod for the trip. Kasi ang maganda sa kanya, it's carbon fiber. It folds flat, as you can see. It folds very, very small, so you can fit it in your suitcase. You can fit it in a hand carry. And then it's very light. So, diba you were asking one of the reasons why my shots were so stable at that focal length is because you need a tripod. By having a tripod and then you put your camera on it, even in the vehicle, you eliminate the up and down shake. So all you have is the left and right. So puro panning ka na lang. So actually when I saw your ad na parang you're giving away a carbon fiber pa na BENRO RHINO, sobrang nahingit ako kasi I had to buy it pa.
Okay.
Pero but I'm telling you, it's really worth its money. Sobrang sarap gamitin. It's very light, very sturdy.
Parang pag sinabi mong carbon fiber at this time, may wow factor siya, pero alam mong magpo-perform siya in terms of not really just the stability, but also magaan siyang dalhin, which is an important thing. Parang pag nagbuhat ka kasi ng tripod ngayon, di ba, for a couple of seconds or 1 minute, iba yung feeling kapag, magaan to. Pero kapag pinatagal mo na siya, iba yung nagko-compound eh. Parang exponential yung pagbigat ng tripod mo habang napapagod ka eh. So, it's nice that this is actually carbon fiber as well. Ayan. Yes, let's greet Sir John Tan. Thank you for gracing the show.
Salamat sa pagbubudol.
Very, tawag dito, very important budol na nangyari doon. Okay, may mga nagpi-PM sa amin ng address nila. Sorry guys, you have to join the raffle so that you actually win this particular tripod. Mukhang may nag-aaway na pusa doon. Wait lang, mag-wildlife photography lang ako sa gabi. So, other things, anong tawag dito? I think, were you able to use this in other genres as well? I think may nagtatanong kanina, astrophotography or when you were doing your landscape shots, how were you able to use this particular tripod?
Yeah, Glenn, maybe you can bring up.
Sige.
I have this sunrise photo.
Is it this one? Sana ta.
It's this subject, pero yeah, this one.
Okay, there we go. Wait lang. Let's show it on the live stream. There we go. Go ahead.
Yeah, this one. So this one, I was lucky that we were in a conservancy. Kasi actually, it's a lodge na napuntahan namin. May isang painting dun that was painted, that was, the subject is Mount Kenya, which is in this photo. And it was painted in a similar way during sunrise. So in one of the game drives, nag-drive kami sa taas ng hill. And ito yung nakita ko. But I saw it in the morning. So sinabi ko sa guide, balikan natin early morning. Tapos, shoot ko. So again, doing landscape photography in a safari is kinda, parang hindi mo naiisip. Pero being a landscape photographer, pinilit ko rin. And then with proper coordination with the guide and for safety, we were able to take this. So ito, gamit ko din yung BENRO tripod ko, the Rhino.
Mm-hmm. In conjunction with the 150 to 600 or naka-wide lens ka dito?
This one...
Kasi may chance mag-landscape photography na naka-telephoto, di ba?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like in this scene, I think this was really a telephoto, with that distance and that compression.
Correct.
So, the nice thing with the safari is, so sobrang laki na lupa. Kahit na gumamit ka ng telephoto, parang feeling mo wide angle pa rin.
Correct.
I think there was a photo of the silhouette ng elephant.
Or this one. This particular small elephant. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is basically landscape photography using a telephoto. So with the scale and then the size of the space, parang feeling mo nagsushoot ka ng dagat
Mm-hmm.
Especially, can you go to the previous photo, Glenn?
Oh, sorry. This one.
Yeah,
there you go.
Ito, I love this shot kasi parang feeling mo it's a sea of grass. And then here you have your subject in the middle, an elephant walking alone sa savannah.
Wala lang alon this time around. Puro hangin. On the side, was this dusty? Itong environment na to. Dusty ba siya?
This one, at this time of the day, no, it wasn't dusty. It was early morning, kaya medyo foggy pa siya.
And then temperatures during this time, kamusta?
Surprisingly, it was very cold. Kasi expect namin, it was around 13, 14 degrees.
Oh, parang bagyo.
Plus, may hangin ka pa. So actually, I was wearing gloves, jacket, may bonnet pa ako sa shoot na to.
Ayos. Do you... wait lang. Meron pa bang nagpapag-greet dito? Wait, let me just answer this question from Kelvin Obanya. Sir Glenn, na-convert po ba yung Rhino tripod to a monopod? Yes. It's possible that you can put together. So, if 3 legs is too much, at least for what you're doing, no, the photography that you're doing, and you want something that's a bit more portable, and gusto mo lang isang stand lang, pwede mo siyang gawing monopod, no? So, that's a good thing. Anything else that you want to share with this particular tripod? Bago natin siya ipamigay, because we're almost done. Excited yung mga tao sa raffle.
Swerte makuha niya.
Ganda, no? Ganda nung feel niya. Feel talaga. Ang ganda nung texture. I mean, visually, both. And also, ang tawag dito, in terms of feel. And because this is a travel tripod, tama ba, Marc? Mas madali siyang i-biyahe kapag...
Yan. Exactly what you're doing. It's very, ang dali i-pack away. Mas maliit. So, mas kaya mo siya lagay sa overhead carry mo, sa mga bags, i-clip mo lang, or sa suitcase mo.
And you can also put in, if masyado magaan yung tripod, you can also add weight here para at least mas maging stable siya, di ba? So, I mean, you can use it for different kinds of shoots and whatever you need. Meron din siya mga 3/8 screw for additional for additional accessories that you can include. Okay, ayan, medyo dumadami na yung questions natin. But before we go there, don't forget this is the BENRO RHINO RH298CK for 14,990 pesos. Yan ba yung amount na nabudol sa'yo, Marc?
Oo.
Something along those lines, di ba?
Tapos yung mananalo, libre lang. Wow,
Oo nga
sarap.
di ba? For a very good price. But definitely, this is something that you'd want to keep handy in your bag. Nico, let's bring you back. Are you ready? May nagko-congratulate na sa mga sarili nila. Hindi ko alam bakit. Kasi wala pa namang raffle.
Alright. Sige. Grabe ang lupit ng mga nagko-comment na nag-PPM sila ng address nila.
Didelete.
Oh my God. So intense yun, guys, But,
Ibig sabihin, send
yeah.
natin kay Sir John, send nyo na rin yung invoice dun sa mga tao na yun. Bahala na sila magbayad ng tripod.
Oo. Yun pala, dadating sa address nyo, COD.
COD. Okay, good luck sa mga nag-PM ng address sa amin.
Alright. Ano ba? Guys, sige, let's do one call for last minute questions. Also as we are preparing the raffle. So if you have any more questions for Marc about his trip, about his photography. Merong nagtatanong kanina, I believe it's Michael Lim. He's asking when daw yung workshop of Marc Go.
Pwede, no? Safari workshop tayo.
Ano bang masushoot natin sa safari sa Pilipinas? Parang puro kalabaw yata. But si Dennis Murillo, actually he has a very good experience shooting the Tama Raws. Oh, so maybe we'll have Dennis on the show one time soon.
Sige.
Yeah, before we head on to the raffle, ano pa ba? Again, guys, more questions if you have any last minute questions. Before anything else, siguro Marc, tell us about your social media accounts. Where can they follow you? Any upcoming things to watch out for from you?
Yeah, sige, social media, I'm on Facebook, which is Marc Henrich Go. And if you can't follow me in Instagram, that's at Marc Henrich Go.
Alright. YouTube channel, wala.
YouTube, wala.
TikTok.
TikTok, hindi ako nag-TikTok.
We're gonna wait for that, bro. We have one question from Justin Jason Panopio Aguilar. Okay lang ba gamitin APS-C camera for wildlife photography?
Yeah, actually okay din siya because APS-C is usually times 1.5 or 1.6. So yung, for example, 70-100 mo, mas mahaba siya kaysa sa full frame.
Yeah.
So it also works the same way. The same thing with sports, diba? That's why ang 7D or the equivalent of that is an APS-C sensor as opposed to full frame. So definitely okay din ang APS-C.
Yan. We have a question from Calvin Obanya. Any group sa Pilipinas para sa wildlife photography? In particular, I know there is a wild bird photography group, Wild Bird Photographers of the Philippines. I don't know if there are groups beyond birding, but I'm sure definitely we do have a lot of wildlife actually. Hindi lang pa siguro kasing common or kasing common nung genre of wildlife photography in the Philippines. But yeah, I'm sure there are. With a quick search on Facebook, you're gonna find these groups, and definitely I know a lot of amazing wildlife photographers, wild bird photographers in particular from Wild Bird Photographers of the Philippines.
Ayan.
Yun,
sisingit lang ako, Nico. Natatawa ako kasi nung sinabi natin na COD yung tripod, parang nag-atrasan sila lahat dun sa comments natin. Good, fun to, fun. Galing niya mambudol, sabi ni Emil. Galing niya talaga magbudol, pa-deliver agad. Tapos si Jaytan, biro lang po. Very, all caps pa, no? Congratulate natin sila for their new purchase. Hindi dahil naralo sila.
Congratulations, Jaytan, for your new tripod.
Ayan, meron din mga nagjo-joke dito na marami daw crocodile sa Philippines. So to speak.
Totoo. Actually,
And,
malapit-lapit sa akin yung isang sanctuary nila.
Correct.
Sa
Tapos,
may Commonwealth.
yung isa dito, sabi naman ni Time, chismosa photography. no? So, sa 150 to 600, kita mo yung mga chismosa mong kapitbahay. Kulang na lang. Ayan. Eto, meron... nasagot mo na yata to. May target animal ka ba sa Philippines na ma-photograph? Mark, I think this is a question for you. Anything that you are looking forward to photograph in the Philippines na animal? Pag hayop kasi sinabi ko, pangit eh. Any animal.
Okay. Siguro one animal I really want to shoot here is Philippine eagle. I wanted to add lang, like Nico was saying, there are lots of wild bird photographers in the Philippines, which is funny because tayo, for example, we're from the Philippines. Ang layo-layo ng Africa, but all of us want to go there to shoot the African wildlife. But did you know that people from Europe, from the US, from far away, really fly into the Philippines to shoot our wild birds? Parang the way we feel about Africa, that's the way they feel about the Philippines. Parang I want to go to the Philippines kasi sobrang diversity of wildlife, especially in terms of wild birds. And the Philippine eagle, which is one of the rarest eagles, is also here. So for me, ayun, that's one thing I really want to get into, is to shoot the Philippine eagle in its natural habitat.
See, Glenn, he has a lot of shots of the Philippine rabbit.
Parang candy lang yun. Another question from Justin Aguilar. My only telephoto lens is 18 to 200. Siguro suitable naman siya, Sir Mark. I also tried to shoot some birds, photograph using, iniingatan talaga namin yung word na shoot dito. I also tried to photograph some birds using it, kaso di lang gaano kabilis yung focusing ng camera and lens. Would you have any tips on autofocus and how to do autofocus or focusing properly, at least in terms of modes and features on the camera, Mark?
Siguro you really have to adapt to your gear. So if you know it already focuses slower, focus mo na siya in advance. Huwag mo na antayin na gumalaw tapos focus mo para makunan. And then for example, it's perched on the tree, or let's say animal siya nandun. Focus mo na in advance. Tapos pag gumalaw siya na left or right, same plane naman yan eh.
Correct.
So focus won't change. Magiging problema lang pag harap o likod. So kung ganun, alam mong yun yung limitation mo, then you try to focus on shots or animals that move sideways na lang. Let's say, pa-side lumipad, wag mo na ihabulin yung mga paharap. So that's just one of the examples I'm telling you na when you're in wildlife photography, whether it be in Africa or in the Philippines, you really adapt to what's there.
Sige. One last question siguro. We have a question from Michael John Kaday. Considered as wildlife photography pa rin ba if you're shooting macro in the wilderness?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Wala naman, siguro if anything, guys, let's not box everything so much, diba? Na parang that's not wildlife photography because it's macro, or that's not landscape photography because it's in the city. Those masyadong exclusive notions, they don't really do anything good for us in terms of photography, because we if anything, we want to take out that exclusivity culture na parang you're not a legit photographer if you're not shooting like this. Diba? I'm sure, Mark, you've seen a lot of these na din. If you've been, I think you've been shooting as long as I have been. So, if anything, siguro, if there's one non-gear related thing or non-shooting related thing that we would share tonight, is that let's take away all those boxes that we create in photography, in genres, in the community, and let's just bring everyone in, diba? Because I, for one, I would say I learned a lot because I got to meet a lot of people like Glenn and Mark. And most of the good photographers you would know, they learned a lot from their peers. So let's have that mindset na parang, let's, the labels of the genres, they're really not that important. So, ano lang, some food for thought for tonight. Medyo lumalim ako a bit doon.
Just to add a bit, what you're saying, Nico. Parang as
Yeah.
I was saying earlier, parang photography isn't just about yung output na nagawa mo, or in on other words, parang yung technicality behind it. It's also about the experience and the journey that you took shooting it. Kung masaya ka sa process of making that photograph, then by all means, share it and then let everybody be happy with you. Kasi photography it's not so technical. It's a passion that we enjoy doing. Kahit na nag-shoot ka sa likod ng bahay mo, may mga langgam, the whole process is there, di ba? You look for it, you compose for it, you wait at the right moment. It's the same thing, whether you shoot it right behind your house or you shoot it in Africa. At the end of the day, the process of doing that photograph, that's what makes photography all the more alluring, di ba?
Yes. Definitely.
Alright.
Sige.
Meron tayong isang important
go ahead.
comment. Justin, wag kang baka bawiin nila yung napanalunan ko. Si Jay, mukhang kung willing ka i-wave yung price mo, let us know in the comments. So I think we can go to the important part of the night. Aside from, of course, let's thank Marc Go for
Yes,
sharing
of
his experience and his expertise with us. Thank Marc in the comment below.
Yeah.
Please don't use
you,
it with
guys.
hashtag WTFWild. Parang hashtag thank you, Marc.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Go ahead, Nico.
Yeah, this was definitely fun. Kami particularly ni Marc, pag nagkikita kami niyan sa events, we would take maybe a few hours to catch up. So this was very refreshing then. And we got to do this and also share a bit to the audience and share and also inspire some of them. Maybe some of them inspired to purchase a new tripod. Some of them inspired to purchase a new lens, and maybe some of them inspired to go to Kenya, di ba? But definitely, this has been really really fun. And siguro I-mention ko na din, this is so far our biggest audience in Weekly Tech Fuzz. Yeah, and it's very flattering kasi this is also the end of season 1 of season. So kung nakikita nyo guys, the past 8 weeks we've been doing this non-stop, and we're just gonna take a quick breather and also plan out the next episodes for you guys. But definitely feel free to leave in the comments if you have any requests or any suggestions for topics or for gear reviews, or even mga photographers that you think we should sit down and talk to and feature, just like what we did with Marc tonight. Sige, medyo I'm sure excited na sila.
Nico,
let's bring out the magic roulette.
And let's allow Marc to read the name of the winner, no? Kaya ako siya nilakyan. Nagtatago muna ako dito. So sige.
Go ahead. Disclaimer lang. So there are I think almost 100 shares if you check out the post. But these were screened, of course, one entry per person only, and those who did not follow the guidelines, like adding the caption and also yung mga hindi public yung post, obviously were not counted in this one. So yun, baka kasi magtaka yung iba, siguro medyo pinopost nila, tinitignan ko nandun yung pangalan nila. If it's not there, then you might have missed a step. So better luck next time na kagad for that. But yeah, let's click the spin.
Good luck sa lahat, guys. Spinning this wheel. Wala tayong sound effect dito, sorry.
Oo nga.
And then, here we go. Marc, can you read out the name of our winner?
Fatima Riza. Hold on, I don't see the last name. Mani.
Fatima Riza Mani. We have to make sure that you are watching live right now. So, comment anything na medyo may sense naman, just so we know that you are watching live.
Comment mo ni address mo.
Wag. Safety.
Baka ma-intercept yun.
Intercept. Ayan, Fatima Riza Mani, we're waiting for your comment. I think we are just delayed around 8 to 10 seconds because of new algorithms from Facebook. But I see her commenting earlier. But let's see. Nico, you have to check and see our friend, Marga.
I'm watching.
Yes.
Yeah. Shout out to Iska. Siyempre wala ka dyan kasi ikaw yung nag-count nung...
Si Marga din.
Oo, tsaka si Marga din, no?
Oo.
Let's give her...
Nakikita ko
1
sa
minute.
kina Marga na OMG, andito siya. Here. Okay. Oh, there we go. Congratulations, Fatima Raiza Mani.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow,
Clap.
congratulations.
You just won yourself a new... Baka mali pa yung mahugot kong tripod dito.
Ang sarap ng bagong tripod. Ang sarap ng bagong tripod.
Hindi po ito
Actually,
yan.
ako even when I saw that when we picked up yesterday, very impressive eh. Parang muntik din ako mabudol eh.
Buti na lang walang debit card terminal dun sa opisina.
Akala mo lang wala.
Sorry.
Actually nga, wala akong trunk card nun eh. Pero...
Anyway, congratulations, Fatima. And we did see your comment already. And definitely send a message to the page and we will instruct you on how to claim your prize.
Guys, walang trip to Kenya na raffle. Ibang show yata yun.
Si Jay Tana po yung sponsor for that.
Si Jay Tana magpapamigay nun.
Tag niyo si Jay Tana. Hashtag thanks Tito Jay Tana.
Let's bring this home.
Yeah. Again, thank you, Marc, for being with us today. This has been very fun. We went over time, pero I think everyone would just enjoy it. So definitely, I think we'll be able to. We would love to have you again on the show. I think maybe we could geek out together on architectural photography or landscape maybe sometime soon.
Yeah.
Thanks, Marc. And guys, again, thank you very much for making Season 1 of Weekly Tech Fuzz great. If you guys joined us in the latter part of the season, this was just a passion project for me and Glenn. And basically, this is just us live streaming our weekly conversations about tech anyway. So thank you for joining us and being with us. If you have any topics to suggest for Season 2, if you have speakers to suggest, yung mga people we can talk to, or even products that you'd like us to check out, you can comment on this post, continue commenting on this post, and also make a thread on the page about that. But definitely, there are already a lot of things to watch out for Season 2. Glenn, ano ba yung mga in-store na natin as early as now?
Alam mo, maliwanag yung start ng Season 2 eh. Yun yung nakikita ko. I'm very excited for that. Abangan mo agad yan.
Yes. And, syempre, guys, help us out by sharing this to your friends and prompting them to like the page para naman we have bigger audiences. Tandaan nyo.
Wait lang, naglobat yung camera mo.
Naglobat yung camera ko, but I'll be a ghost na lang. Sige. Tandaan nyo that our sponsors are very, very generous because they like the fact that a lot of people are watching. So maybe in the future, if there are more people watching, then we will also have more prizes. Diba? Sige, since hindi na ako nakikita, take it home, Glenn.
Okay, thank you to our partners for today. Like of course, Sir John, Iska, Marga, and also to our past partners. Looking forward to working with you. Thank you so much for joining us for Season 1 of Weekly Tech Fuzz. My name is Glenn Lopez. Alongside with me, with the logo is Nico Valenzuela. Thank you, and have a good weekend ahead. Thank you, Marc. See you, and good night, everyone. Bye, guys.
Night, guys.
Thank you.